Welcome to Framework Fortune. I'm your host Ben, and in this video I'm going to show you how to set up your Thinkorswim platform for day trading, and this will work for swing trading and long-term investing as well in 2020. So if you're new to the channel and you want to learn more about the stock market, day trading, building the framework for your financial freedom, start your journey now by hitting that subscribe button and the notification bell. So this is an older account, but I've reset the entire thing to this blank canvas. When you open up your Thinkorswim for the first time, it may not look exactly like this, but the process will end with the same results. So let's go ahead and jump into it and get this going. So the first thing you want to do is go right up here under On Demand in the right top corner. So you can see On Demand there lighting up, and then right below that there's the square. We're going to click that square, and we're going to click this bottom corner one right here where it lights up white, so all four of these will be lit up. So we're going to click that, and now you've got these four charts, or whatever you want to call them. Now when I start this, I like to start with a stock in this so I can kind of see what's going on, because if not, you're going to have blank charts and blank other widgets that we're going to be using. So we're going to put in Apple as an example. So there's Apple. You can see it's on the chart. The next step is we're going to link all of these together. And what I mean by link is this button right here. So right beside the ticker symbol input box, right under flexible grid, you're going to click this one right here. You have all these different colors that are coordinated to numbers. This is how you link it. So you want all these boxes to match that same link. So we'll go over here, click red. Right here, same thing, red. And then red. So we got all those in there. Also, in case your Thinkorswim doesn't open up where I'm at the very top right here, you can see monitor, trade, analyze, scan, market watch. You want to click on charts, and then right below monitor, you click on charts, because if you go to flexible grid, it's going to be different. I just like to have it on charts myself. It's a little bit easier. So do that first, then put in a stock, and then switch it to 4 squares, and then link all the squares. So we've got all the squares linked now. If we change it to any stock, I'll show you an example. All of them will change. So all of them change to that same one. So let's just go back to Apple. So the next thing we want to do is we want to change this to a different widget. So over here on the right hand side, right against the screen where the mouse is right here, you can see these different letters. You can see N, L2, DB, PSC, BTNS, AT, TS, etc. We're going to click off the C. The C stands for charts. Okay. The next thing we're going to put is we're going to put the time and sales, which is TS, stands for time and sales, and then the buttons. I'm sorry, not the buttons. I like the AT ladder. Either one you can use. It depends on what you want to do. You can click buttons and set all this up, but personally I use the AT ladder. Whoops. There we go. So now this first chart is going to be a certain time frame that we're going to be using a lot. And the time and sales doesn't have to be that big because it's just little numbers that runs through over here. But we've got that set up now. So now we want our next chart. This one right here we're going to leave the same for now, because all we're going to do is change the time frame on it. But we want that chart. I like to use 2 charts. You can have as many charts up as you would like. Thinkorswim will let you do as many as you want to with the square right here. You know, I think there's not much of a limit, but me personally, I just use 2 charts. So now this fourth one right here, we're going to click off of the C, because we're going to turn the chart off, and we're going to turn this to level 2. Now level 2 is extremely important when it comes to day trading, so you definitely want your level 2, and then you can kind of just adjust it to however you want, but you don't need it that big either, just as long as you can see this side, the bid, and the bid size, the ask, and the ask size. That's the important thing. So the next thing we're going to do is set our charts up. Now that we've got those up, we'll start for this top chart, and if you click the D, if you're looking right here on the blue bar right at the top of it, you can see share. There's a square there, something that says edit studies, looks like a little potion, a little setting button that pretty much is universal, and then this D. This D is your time frame. So we're going to change this first one to a different time frame if it's not already what it's supposed to be. So this one is 1 year, 1 day, and it's already on it, so we're just going to click it and make it that. So we have that. We got the 1 year, 1 day chart, right? You can see back here, May all the way to April. So this would be last May, and this is April. So you read your charts. If you're new to trading, you read your charts from left to right when you're looking at them. So the back of the chart is the past. The top of the chart right here, the front of the chart, is going to be the present, what's going on right now. So the next thing we're going to do is go into settings. So the gear button right here, the little universal settings icon. And we're going to change the appearance of some of this stuff. And this is all personal preference, but this is what I use. So I want to fill up these candles. Yeah, I want the candles to look like that, because right now you can see there's spaces in them, and I don't like that. I want it like that, so I want the green fill up, red fill down for the red, and then show the wicks. Wicks are very important if you're a day trader. So the next thing we're going to do is go to the background, and I like my backgrounds to be completely black like that. And then you can take the grid off if you want, because you can see there's all these little white dotted lines, and you can do that if you want, and I'm actually going to. And then the next thing you want to do is you want to change these volume bars to represent what type of volume it is, because it can be buying volume or it can be selling volume. That can be the majority of the volume, and it'll actually show you by the color. So all you do is just click this little circle right here beside volume bars to color as symbol ticks. So you can see there we have a green volume bar, green candle, red volume bar, red candle, white volume bar, white candle, and they match up. And what this is showing you is where was more volume at. Was it on the buying side or the selling side? So if you have more buyers coming in this one candle, then that candle will be green. If you have more sellers coming in on this one candle, then that would be red. And then white is it balances out. White rarely happens unless it's a very low volume stock. So the next thing you want to do is click apply. So you can see it changed everything there on the chart. We got the green and red and white colors there. And then just hit OK. So we want to go down to this chart and do the exact same thing. So this chart will match. So fill up, we got them filled up. Color is ticks, we got the ticks there. And then we like that all black background with no grid. So we take that out, apply, and there we go. Now we also want to change the time frame. Now your bottom one, I changed to 5 minutes. And if you're swing trading, you know, you can change this from different time frames. So this is the reason why I don't have a bunch of charts up, is because I can easily just change my time frames just like this. And I can put in my own time frames. If you want to look at a certain time frame that's not a default, then you just go down to the bottom and click Customize List, and it'll pop up, and you can go to Add Time Frames, and then you have all your different options to create the time frames how you want. But the main one I use for day trading is the 5 minute. So I've got the 5 minute on there. Now you're looking down at this and probably thinking, why is there white here but nothing up here? Well, this white is showing pre-market and after hours, because this is a whole year. This is a lot bigger time frame, so there's a lot more information that has to be packed into this little space. It doesn't have the pre-market and after hour white boxes on there. So because you're looking at a smaller time frame on this bottom chart, you're looking a lot closer at that information. You get to see the pre-market and after hours. So now the next thing we want to do is we want to add in some studies. So you go right beside drawings, right across from the time frame button we clicked on. You'll click studies and go down to edit studies. So we have edit studies there. So then we're going to put in our moving averages. And moving averages is once again another preference thing, but the moving averages that I use are exponential. So we're going to put in the MOV and then AV so we can get the moving average that we want. And we want exponential. So we're going to click it. Just double click it, it'll add it right in there. If you're having a hard time double clicking it to get it to go in there, you can just click add selected and it will add the highlighted one. So either way, I just do it this way because I think it's faster. And on this top chart, we're actually going to put several different time frames on it. So for my first time frame, we'll leave it to 9. I use the 9 EMA, and then I like to change the 9 EMA to green. So there we have that one. I'm going to double click this one, and it'll open this up. And then the next one is the 20. So you have to highlight the numbers. Sometimes it doesn't want to work, so you got to kind of keep clicking at it till it works. And then the 20 I like to make pink. So there we have the 20. So then the next one we're going to use as the 50, and I like to make the 50 a dark blue. And this is all preference. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It's just the way that I do it and the way I like to keep it. It doesn't really matter about the colors. And this is what I'm talking about. Sometimes you just got to keep clicking at it. It's a weird little thing. It doesn't last for very long. So we got the 100 day there, and we're going to change it to yellow. So there's the yellow. And then there's one more that I use on my daily chart, which each candle represents one day, and the whole entire chart is a year. And this one is the 200. So I'm going to have to do a little clicking again. There we go. And the 200 I like to be as red. Now the reason why I like red is because what it tells me is that moving average is very important, because the 200 day is a longer period of time. It's the last closing price of the stock over the past 200 days. So it tends to be one of the strongest support and resistance lines. So we've got all 5 of those in there, and you just click apply, and now you see you've got those in there. Now there's all kinds of other studies that you can add and mess with if you are interested in all that. I don't really use any other ones on this chart, but Thinkorswim has quite a bit. You can see as I'm scrolling down, there's all kinds of different types of studies and moving averages and all kinds of things that you can do. So now on the bottom chart, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to go to studies, because I had a couple things on here, and I used 2 moving averages, which I'm still back and forth on the moving averages on the 5-minute or 1-minute charts, but I think they can serve some purpose. The other one, this one, the VWAP, I am very, very big on. So we'll start with the VWAP first, because there's a few more things you have to do with it than you do with the moving averages. Now the VWAP I like to be white, because it's not technically a color, I guess, or however you want to say it, but it's not one of the bright lit up colors like we have up here with these moving averages. So the white will tell me that it's not a moving average. This is the VWAP. And then after you click white, you want to go to upper band right beside VWAP, right here below plots, and you want to click that off, and then go to lower band and click that off. Because all I want on the VWAP is just one middle line. If you leave those on, you'll have 3 lines for the VWAP. And I don't like using all 3 lines. I only use the 1 line. So we have the VWAP on there. Now we're going to change these. One of them I use is the 200 on the 5-minute, because the 200, like I said before, is usually a very strong resistance and support line. So we want to make it, we want to try to get it similar to the color that we used up there, because we want to know it's the same red color up here. Like the 200-day moving average, we want to be able to look at both charts and say, okay, the 200's up here, and then it's right here, because it's not always the same on both charts. And then the other one is the 9. So the 9 we're going to change to green, just like it was on the top chart. And you can use the 9, you can use the 13, either one of those. They're very close to each other, so it doesn't really matter that much. As you see, we can zoom in. If you need to zoom in or zoom out, there's little magnifying glasses with a plus and a minus right here at the bottom under the volume bars. So you can see there the 9 EMA is the green one. It's following right kind of near the price. VWAP's the white one, and the 200 is the red one. So now we want to go over here to our AT ladder. And we want to click this little settings button. And we're going to move some things around. Now I don't use reverse. I also don't use flatten. Auto send, we want to move up here with our buy market, sell market. and then quantity with buttons. Okay, and then we're going to press OK. So now you can see that you've got some quantities here. You can click 300, it'll automatically change to 300. Click 100, it'll go back to 100. Click 500, and you can change those if you want to your own certain buttons. Now the auto send is important because as a day trader, I like to mark it in and out of orders, and if you don't have auto send on, then you'll have a confirmation box whenever you click this button, which will slow you down with your trading. So just click auto send on, and that way you can just hit buy and hit sell, and you're done. And I'm actually going to change this a little bit. I like the buy and the sell to be together. It doesn't really matter, but I like it like that. Buy, sell. Very easy. Change my quantities, bam, 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 however I want to do it. So that's it. That's my whole setup for my charting and my buy buttons and my level 2 and time and sell. So the next thing I'm going to show you is setting up your watch list and some other widgets over here in this big open thing we have here. So half of this bar is cut off because it's behind me, and to try to show you the really important parts like the level 2 and all that, I have it cut off, but there's not too much you have to do on this side, so just go with me. Right behind my head at the bottom there's a little plus sign and a little settings button. Just hit that plus sign and it'll pop this little thing up here, and the first thing we want to do, and you're not going to be able to see it because there's another column of white words in this box, but you're going to click live news. So there we have the live news, and we're going to link this live news up with our charts, so that way when we're switching around from different stocks, it'll all switch together so you can see press releases as well. And I'll show you an example. So here's another one. You can see there, you know, everything changed. Our level 2, all that stuff changed, and the news did too. So we're all linked up all together on all these. And we'll switch back to Apple, and you can see Apple is in all these. This is all Apple's stuff. We're all linked together. We're all good to go. So the next thing I want to add, back down at the bottom, click the plus, is a watch list. So I click watch list. We have a default one there. That's one of mine. But I'm going to put in the top 10% NASDAQ gainers. And you just, to go get that, you just go to top 10 and then top 10% NASDAQ gainers. So you have that watch list there. Now if you want to make your own watch list that doesn't show you stocks in that certain scan criteria, we'll press the plus, go to watch list, click the default button, click create watch list, and then you can just type in a name. So we're going to put in watch. We're just going to call it watch, and then click save. Now some of this is cut off, and the symbol where you click the actual ticker symbol in for your watch list is actually going to be where you can't see. It's going to be the first one. I've moved it over so you can see what I'm doing, but you just double click in there, and then you can put in Apple. So there we have Apple, and you can adjust all this. And then we'll put in Duke Realty, that's DRE, and then we'll put in Microsoft. How about, whoops, Microsoft. So we got all three of these in here. Now what I like to do is click this little link here and link my watch list up. So when you click between your stocks on your watch list, it'll change everything for you. Your charts and your time and sales level 2 and buttons and your news. Now there's another little tiny settings button right here that you can click, and you can go to customize, and now we can change these different titles at the top of these columns. So like I don't use bid and ask unless I'm looking in pre-market or after hours. I like to add in percent change, and I take net change out, and I like to add in shares because the shares are the float. Thinkorswim doesn't have a button for float, but it does have for shares. So the shares are going to be all the shares in the company. The float's going to be the shares that are offered to the public. But you can still get a decent idea of what the range of the float is just by using the share button. And then the other thing I like to add in is volume. So as a day trader, we're looking for stocks with volume. So now just press OK. So we got the last percent change, shares, and volume. And then the ticker symbols have moved back over where they will normally be at. But you can click on these and it'll actually sort them. So that's lowest volume to highest volume. That's highest volume to lowest volume. You can do the same thing with the shares, with the percent change and the price. So it's really nifty for your watch list to kind of set it up like that, especially when we get into the next part. So the next part is going to be the scanners. And to go into your scanner, you just click scan. And I like the stock hacker. Now I've already have a scan in here, so I'm going to delete these. Alright, and I want to scan in all stocks. So right here under option hacker, you can see scan in all stocks. So before you start adding things in, go down at this button right here that says show, and you're going to change this to 2000. Starting out, it'll be at 50, and it actually won't show you all the stocks. You'll get kind of a vague scan, and I like to see all the results, so I put show 2000 stocks. The next thing you want to do is click add filter right up here in the right corner. So on demand's here, and you look straight down, you'll see add filter, and I click stock, and I want to scan for the price. So I normally scan for 50 cents to $10. Okay, and then we're going to add another filter for stock, and this one is going to be shares, because when you're day trading penny stocks specifically, you're looking for the low float stocks. So like I said before, there's not really a thing for float, so we have to use shares. So what I like to do is I leave the minimum at 0, because the lower the float the better. I turn the max to 50 million. So we've got 50 cent minimum last, maximum 10, 0 minimum shares, 50 million max. And we're going to add one more thing, and that is going to be for in stock 2, and we're going to add volume. Now I always like to get stocks that have at least a minimum volume of 50,000, because when you're scanning in pre-market, there may not be as much volume in the stock yet because it's still early in the day. So I just go with 50,000 as a minimum, because usually if it has more than 50,000 at that time, it could be one that is volatile enough to make a nice move. So I don't put a max on the volume because we want the most volume as possible. So then from there, you just hit scan. And now you get this list. And you can switch this stuff the same way with the side watch list columns. You can click shares and sort it by shares or the last price. And you can change all this to however you want to set it up with that little setting, universal setting button. And you can just go to customize, and you get another one of these windows. So you can change all this. So I don't care about that. High, low. Well, sometimes you want to look at high-low depending on what you're doing, but you can change all this to however you want. But just for day trading, we're just going to stick with that, and then I like percent change as well, so we'll put percent change in there. But in the morning, if you're looking for the ones that are running, you can sort this by the highest net change to see what stocks have been moving. Or you can go to volume and look at which stocks have the most volume. So then you can build your watch list that way. So Gene Technologies, looking at it, 7.8 million shares. That's not a lot of shares, so the float's pretty small. And then it has 30 million in volume. That's a lot of volume on a small float stock. So that would be one I'd want to add to my watch list. So you have that scanner here, but you can also put the scanner over here as a watch list. So we'll go to create. We'll add watch list, and then we got to make a name for this scanner. So right here, right under on demand, not the first little menu, the second menu, we're going to go save scan query. And then I'll ask you, you request a very large number of symbols. It may consume a lot of memory, blah, blah, blah. It's not really doing anything. It's not that big a deal. Just press yes. And then you can change the name. And we're going to put YouTube so we know which scanner we're looking for easily. And we'll hit scan again just so that comes back on. And then we go to default, personal. And then we'll go to YouTube. So you can see you've got your scanner on the side. And this can be very helpful during the morning when you're looking for rips, because if a stock all of a sudden comes out with a press release, that a lot of buying volume could come in, and you might be able to catch it on that side little scan instead of having to be over here in the scanner. So that way you can go back to your charts and then have everything up here. And then we're also going to link this scanner to this. So if we do click on one, say PULM right here is starting to run, we just click it and we can change over to it and go bam, buy, you know, you're in and out. But that scanner helped you find a stock that may have not been on your watch list. Now you can also use these scans to find other stocks. Like if you're long-term investing, you might not really care about volume in shares. You might care about the dividend yield or the EPS or something like that, and you can find those different things in different filters that you have. So there's the EPS. You could scan for EPS and change that. You could scan for market cap and change that. You know, you have different options, and you even have different options on these different filters here. So like fundamental, you can get book value per share, ratio, dividend payout, dividend yield. You know, you have all these different options that you can look up for long-term and swing trading as well. So these scanners are really important. I just use this one day trading scanner for my day trading. I have another experimental one that I'm using at the moment, but I don't want to put it out there really until I know for sure that it's something I like. But point is, you have plenty of options with Thinkorswim, but this is your main basic scanner that you'll be using for day trading. It's building your watch list in the morning. So one last thing you want to do is go up here to the top, the very top of your screen, and you can't see it on mine, but it's right above the on demand. There's a setup button. You'll click that, click application settings, go into system, quote speed right here, change this to no delay. You do not want to delay when you are day trading. You want it to be as accurate as possible so you're getting the best entries and exits. So that is very important. So click apply settings. So that's it. That's my day trading setup. Of course, I have more watch lists on mine than this, but you get the basis of how to put the watch list in and all that. You've got your moving averages, you got your chart set up, everything's set up, and you're ready to start trading. So once you do that, all you got to do is fund your account, learn how to day trade, and start making some money. So if this video helped you out, I ask that you please hit that like button, give it a thumbs up. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. I'm your host, Ben. You've been watching Framework Fortune.